December 2019. I'm sitting in my room, and I'm just drawing random stuff to Jack Johnson music. I think of a grizzly bear, and then I think of a raccoon, and then I draw a little sketch of them sitting on a fishing dock fishing together. Immediately after I draw this, I ask myself, what if they were gay? And the minute I thought of that question, I thought of a script. Hello, my name is Zachariah Hansen, and this is the Making of Rapture Lake. When I first wrote the script, I didn't exactly think I was going to make it into a film. I wrote it more for, therapeutic reasons. At the time, my life was a little hectic. I felt like I had no control over my life. And when I was writing this script, I just wanted to write these two characters that were just talking. It was just a very slow, very gradual connection that they both had with each other. And that's what helped me, enjoy writing it. I was able to do a few rewrites, and eventually, I actually liked the script. I liked it so much that I decided to give it to my sister for a rewrite check. And she gladly helped. I was surprised she even said yes. I was like, okay, this is a weird script. Nobody's gonna want to read it because it's originally 13 pages long, and that's just too long for people to just sit down and talk, and nothing really happens except for, say, the big fish scene. When she helped me with that, I got some advice, and she actually helped me with writing a few scenes. She helped a lot with the dialogue, and that's what initially made me want to make it into a film. It was her collaboration, and it was her helping me with writing that dialogue. Specifically, the scene where August is conveying his past with Riley, and he's conveying it through a fish allegory. And I swear, if Bridget hadn't written that scene, or specifically that dialogue between the two, I don't think I would have even wanted to make this into a film. I'm sorry this is all kind of squampus right now, but I'm just trying to figure out how to properly frame this and record it at the same time. So apologies if the frame kind of changes every once in a while. Anyways. The hardest person I think to draw, even past the concept art stage, was August. I'd never drawn a character that was slightly overweight and yet had a bit of a muscular arms on him. Riley was definitely easy because I'm more used to drawing skinny people, and he didn't have a whole lot of detail on his character design either. August, he has these lines in his beard, he has a bit of shadow in his eyes, the color of his eyes. He has a hat. Oh my gosh, that was so hard to draw. I was so happy halfway through the production when I was drawing him that I took his hat off, and I was like, oh, I'm so happy I got rid of that hat. I mean, I liked the hat, but it was too hard to draw. I need to practice drawing hats more, for sure. Once I had gotten somewhat more familiar with how I wanted to draw August and Riley, I began doing the first part of animation. The first part of it was mostly just animating stuff that didn't require dialogue. I mostly just called them shot zeros. It was close-up of August, fumbling around with the fish bait, or it's like a wide shot of Riley throwing his line to the water. The second part of animating would be saved for later, once I had all the dialogue recorded from the actors. That way, when I animate, I can animate more to their acting rather to them trying to act out to my animation. And that stuff, I think, was a little bit easier to animate, but I don't think it was the most fun. And that's because of the next part. That one was probably my favorite part.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Riley. I'm August. You can call me, August. Unfortunately not. Mostly just little critters, but there is one out here I've been itching to catch for months now. A real monster, I hear.
When I started the production, I knew that I didn't want to just hire anybody. I wanted to hire specific people for these roles. So when I stumbled upon Trendane and Spencer, I was like, okay, the likelihood of them saying no is very likely. But would it hurt to really send them an email? And I decided, okay, I'm just going to send them an email. And when I sent them that email and they both said yes, I was like, wait, what? They said yes? What? At first I was like shocked, and then I was like, oh wow, this is actually kind of sick. They said yes. Oh my gosh. I still find it amazing that they said yes. And it honestly meant a lot to me that they said yes to. Each one of them was hired for a completely different reason, and it's just their talent and ability that made me excited to have them on this project. I first discovered Trending Sparks in an audio drama called Cause a Winds of Change, and it was this particular scene that really caught my attention.
If that were within my power, that would be a dream come true, my lady. My heart belongs to you, Bay. From the first moment I saw you, my heart was no longer my own, and I cherish knowing that I am yours somehow. Bay, I kneel before you, my princess.
After that, I was like, who is this guy? What else has he been in? What? This is amazing. And once I found out other stuff he's made and I found his demo reel, I was like, I swear I would love to work with this guy. This guy makes dialogue sound so natural. And it makes sense that he has also done audiobook narrations, and he just makes everything sound so gradual, like he's having a conversation with somebody, like a normal conversation. He plays these big characters, and yet there's so much emotion just coming out of them, and I really wanted that with August.
Nice to meet you, Riley. I'm August. You can call me August. Okay, look. Just because I'm big doesn't make me muscular. It's either fur you're seeing or this here cooler I keep around my six-pack.
I discovered Spencer Bruce on an audio drama that actually I was a part of. I got to know him a little bit on it, and when I asked him about his demo reel, I was astonished at the variety of voices that he had. I swear, he needs to be in more animated projects. Like, it was phenomenal just hearing his demo reel. At first, I didn't really have a idea of what I wanted Riley's voice to sound like. I had an idea for August, but the minute I heard Spencer, I'm like, that's it. That's the voice I'm looking for.
I'm Riley, or you can call me Rye or Ryan. It doesn't really matter to me. Whatever works for you. Hey, it's all good, man. I mean, sure, that was one of the craziest fish I think I've ever seen, but at the end of the day, it's just a fish, am I right?
Most of the time when I was animating his lines, I was like, I already know what he's gonna do. His arm's gonna be right here when he says this line. He's gonna have his mouth open like this when he's saying that line. And it's just, I got to be more bold with my animation, and I felt like, I knew exactly what I got to do. I mean, I could do that with Trendane too, but I mean, of course I wrote Trendane's character as someone more quiet, and so I had to be more subtle with my animation, whereas with Riley, he could be big, and I was like, I already know what I'm gonna do. And so having them together and improv their lines together, that was something I absolutely loved, and I'm so glad I also got some of that recorded and I could share some of that with you guys. I created a Discord server so that we could communicate to each other and do some improv lines, as well as to keep them updated when I was progressing with the film. I've been a part of productions where people, like, they're in charge of the production and they don't update the cast or crew about, the progression of the production, and then months later, we find out that it was canceled. And I wanted to make sure when I made my own film, or anything that involved more people, I wanted to make sure I updated them as frequently as possible. And if something came up, then okay, this is what's coming up. Hey guys, I gotta stop for a little bit. Luckily, I got to go through the production very quickly. I tried to go as fast as I could, and yet try to do as much quality with the production as possible. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry if I'm saying production so much. I can't think of another word. I'm just trying to make this making of video so short. I'm sorry. I had never worked with a composer before, and I'm glad to say that Foxfall was my first, or AJ, as I would call him. I didn't really know how to talk to him at first. I was like, well, I legit, I didn't know what to do. But the more we communicated with each other, the more I began thinking, okay, maybe if I sent him, like, me describing the scene and what kind of music I was thinking of, what's the mood, then maybe it might help him out a little bit. And luckily it did. So I sent him a few videos of me just narrating through the short film. And I would describe, like, little sound effects, maybe a little bit of music, just simple stuff. So for the intro scene, I wanted this to kind of establish the mood of the film. Get audience to know, like, oh, this is what you're probably going to be feeling throughout most of the film. Words I would use to describe it is warm, welcoming, fun, calming. This part is not a necessity. I thought of having something, kind of a acoustic guitar, to kind of establish kind of a country kind of feeling to it, but you don't have to do that. The next scene I thought would need music is this scene right here, August's fish story. What I really loved particularly about the song I used in this, which was from your, what was it, Hyperlight Driver? Or, I don't remember the name of that on the spot right now. But the very beginning of that, the kind of slow, bittersweet, kind of calming kind of feel to it. It just, I think, really brings the emotion that I'm trying to go for this particular monologue with August. And then right here, it cuts off. I thought of this because August, he's kind of opening up to why he's even at the lake in the first place, why he's kind of down on himself a little, but at the same time, he's not trying to just say it just out loud because he doesn't really know Riley that much. He's still kind of a stranger to him, so he's trying to make it more of an allegory to make it seem like, oh, I'm not telling too much, but I'm telling just enough. But in actuality, as the scene goes on, he's actually making it more awkward and more worse for himself. He's trying to be open, but just comes off as like it's just kind of odd a little bit. And then a lot of this part of the scene, it would kind of stay a little silent again, kind of in the awkwardness. I gave him 2 months to work on the complete score of the film. And honestly, I wish I gave him more time. He still finished it, and he did a fantastic job, but I feel like I may have rushed him. And next time, I want to give composers more time to work on, music. Again, he did fantastic. In those 2 months, he made an incredible score. My hope is that, like, they feel more welcome, and they feel like the creativity process is, like, it's more gradual than it is rushed. But, I don't know, some people work better in rushed scenarios, so I don't know. The last music piece that we worked on together was the Big Fish scene. That one had a lot of different moving parts in it, and it was very precise on what was happening in the scene. And I remember that one took the longest to make, and he did such a great job. I honestly, looking at the entire soundtrack, looking at the entire score, I can't pick a favorite. Like, there's one song I like for one reason, but then there's another song I like for another reason, and it's just, it's so amazing. All in all, AJ was so professional. Like, anytime I gave him some things that he needed to change up, he would just get right on it. I swear, he was just incredible working with him. I will say, though, if I do hire him next time, which I would love to, by the way, I want to bring him on much earlier into the production. And I swear, AJ, I'm going to take much better care of you. I promise. Sound editing and editing together, that was like... I really want to say it's the easiest part, but then again, there are a lot of hard things about that part as well. There's a lot of hard things about making this entire film each stays together. But this part was probably the easiest because I saw everything that was collected, the voice acting, the score, the animation, and just timing it all together and trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And it felt so relieving. Like, I see it now. At first, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it, but the more I began cutting, the more I would place a sound effect in there, I felt more comfortable with making this film. This was my first time making sound effects for a film. In fact, it's my first time doing sound effects at all. I had never worked with sound effects before. There were some instances where I had to buy my own sound effects because some of them I just couldn't make on the budget that I had or the objects I had around me. Where I went to buy those sound effects was Pawn 5. If you ever want to see the playlist of the sound effects I used that weren't made by me, you can find them in the description below in the short film. The rest of the sound effects I knew I had to make myself because I wanted to make sure I stayed on a budget, and at the same time I got that experience of making my own sound effects. It was actually kind of interesting, just messing around, getting a fishing pole out of my old garage, using a cooler on my TV stand, or gathering up branches and just crackling them in front of the microphone. This microphone right here was the only one I was able to record stuff with. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing, I think. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of time, and at the time when I was editing, I bought a puppy, and he took up a lot of time during the day, and so most of the time I had to work on the film at around 9 o'clock at night, and I would try to push my way to 12 o'clock. That way, when I went to work, I would go to work, take care of my puppy, and then finish the film before I went to bed. And it was very tricky, but I was excited. I was almost done with it. I was finally going to be finished with it. And that's what pushed me forward. The day that I finally uploaded the film, it felt kind of surreal. And I was like, wait, it's finished. It's actually finished. And a lot of stuff happens in a year and a half. Like I said, I got a puppy. I moved into a new house. I got a new job. Just so many things were happening at the same time, and like it's just crazy, you know? I'm done. Six minutes into the film, I feel like I've gone over my head. I feel like I wrote a story and I didn't think whether I should even consider making it. I didn't really think it through. The more I listen to the audio, to the stuff that I haven't animated, the more I get worried about it. The more I feel like it's too personal, really, to release. And I don't know if I should even release it. And like, it scares me a little bit. Because, I mean, I already paid these actors to be a part of it. And I've been updating them, like, every so often, like every month. And what would suck is that if I just canceled the project and I told them, hey, sorry to say this, but the project's canceled. It just didn't work out. And I just... I feel like there's like a knot in my stomach. Maybe I just have to keep going. Maybe I just have to keep pushing. But so far, the only thing that's giving me comfort is the idea that maybe nobody will ever watch this film. And it's like, it's sad to say that. I was very harsh on myself, specifically in this journal entry. Of course, I was absolutely terrified at the time. I was terrified most of the time when I was making this movie. I didn't know really who was going to be watching this, or when they would be watching it, how people would perceive it. I had never really made a film quite like this before, and well, it kind of got me out of my comfort zone a little bit. There are a lot of points where I just wanted to give up on it. I wanted to get away from it. But at the same time, as I said before, my life was a little out of control. And the only time I felt like I had control over my life was when making this movie. And I felt like if I gave up on it, I would probably break down. I just didn't really want to disappoint anybody that was a part of the production. I didn't want to seem like someone who was weak or someone who was wimpy or anything. But as I know now, that was wrong of me to think of that. And I keep reminding myself that now, just because of one particular incident that happened way earlier into the production. The first minute of animation that I finished, that was with no dialogue, I quit. I actually quit the film, and I quit it for 5 months. I put everything on a USB drive, put it in a safe, and then I tried moving on. And I did that because every shot I did didn't look great. And I was like, wow, this is gonna suck. And I was striving for this perfection, and I realized I wasn't getting it. And I would look at other artists, and I was like, wow, I can't compete with that. And I remember I was just sitting on a couch, just watching TV. And I was just watching an independent animated short. And I was like, what if? What if I did finish it? Even though it's not going to be perfect, even though it's probably not going to be viewed by a lot of people, what if I finished it? And the idea of me not finishing it and thinking about it like 10 to 20 years later, it bugged me. And so that's what made me want to keep going. And it was getting rid of this idea of perfection, getting every shot to look great, getting like this film to be fantastic or widely appealed. I just threw that out. And I started to enjoy making the film. It was still hard to make, and there were still sometimes I had doubt in myself, or even doubt that I would make a great film and, present it to the actors or to the composer and be like, here is all your work, and this is a reward for all your hard work. And I'm glad to say that I'm actually proud of it. I'm proud of what I was able to make, even though it wasn't perfect. I learned a lot when making this film. I learned a lot that I need to practice on writing. I need to practice on drawing, animation, talking to people. I need a lot of practice in a lot of things. And I'm okay with it now. And I'm glad I got to experience it. I'm glad I got to go through that. And I'm glad I get to share it with whoever stumbles upon it, whoever finds it, whatever. With that said, I want to thank everyone that was a part of this production. My sister Bridget, Jordane, Spencer, AJ. You guys meant a lot to me, and you guys helped me through a wild part of my life, and you helped me make this weird film, and it felt great. And I felt relieved, which was what I intended for the script that I wrote in the first place. So, thank you.